Okay, we're gonna transition from Arduino to the guided notes. Like I said last time, if you have a printer, then you can print this document and then annotate as you wish. If you have an iPad, that'll be even better. So you can just highlight the text and answer the questions as you can. But if you don't, just download the file and you can type your responses. Okay. So I just posted this image so you can see this is Africa. So it's built by Africans, and this is just a little image of Africa. So again, I do this just to add a little bit of a color to your notes. Okay, now I'm gonna go through your guided notes, read through them, give context about what the lecture is about, and then I will give you some CFU questions. All right, so the first part. While much of Africa is today is modernized means that it's much more developed, like it's catching up. Like now they have internet, they have phones, they have vehicles, and so on. Vibrant and successful, some African nations still face significant roadblocks. That means like barriers to development, including poverty, famine. Famine means a long period of not going through without food. Okay, disease, ethnic conflict. Ethnic conflict means different groups with different backgrounds who are fighting, and violence. This is a political cartoon from the lesson from last time. So you have Africa tied into debt. So they owe a lot of money to the banks. And again, this is all set up. There's a lot of poverty, people being poor. AIDS is very epidemic there. Hunger and corruption. Genocide, this is a big word, okay, is the intentional killing of a specific group, usually an ethnic or religious group, of people who cannot defend themselves. So it's not a war. So basically, this is it doesn't have to be simply war. Genocide typically happens during war. It could happen, when no war happening at the moment. The examples many people are familiar with is the Holocaust. And again, as you know, the Holocaust was an event that happened during World War II when the Nazi regime tried to exterminate all Jewish people from Europe. They killed 6 million Jewish people, which is 1/3 of all Jewish people in the world. However, while horrific, the Holocaust was not the largest genocide in history, nor was it the most recent. It was just the only one that took place in Western Europe. Okay, so that's very important because we're so familiar with Western history, we cannot neglect what's going on in developing countries. In Africa's history, genocide has been all too common. Because of the different ethnic groups that were forced to join together under various nations, this right here is important. I want you guys to think back to the lesson from Tuesday. Because of the different ethnic groups that were forced to join together under various nations. Remember that how Europe carved out all of Africa. They said, I'm gonna own this, I'm gonna own that, you keep that, and they made all these borders. So they made borders, they encircled a lot of ethnic groups, a lot of communities that had a lot of tensions with each other, forced them to live together. So this is going to be setting up the future problems that we have today. Okay, and this is what I want you guys to keep in mind about this lesson. How the past can still affect us today. You might be thinking that, well, the past is long gone, but all those ripple effects, we feel them today. And this is what's going on in Africa. Okay. All right, so because of the different ethnic groups that were forced to join together under various nations, and because of the economic, you think of jobs and money, dependency fostered by European colonialism, ethnic conflict has led to extreme violence. Even today, we see extreme violence in groups like Boko Haram, who take advantage of the political instability. Remember, whenever there's a country that is struggling from the government, is falling apart, you'll have terrorist organizations that will intervene. Okay, and this is Boko Haram right here. Boko Haram, who take advantage of the political instability in the region to gain control and rule through terror and violence. Boko Haram will be an example of rule by an unlimited government. If they have if it's an unlimited government, that means what? Full power or less power for the government? And that should be what? That means full power. That means they have full power to do whatever they want. Okay? All right, so now let's see a few questions. In your own words, what is genocide? And also, what is the main cause of genocide in Africa? Press pause and then press play when you're done. Take about 2 minutes. All right, so genocide, okay, is simply the extermination of a specific group of people based on race, religion, or ethnicity. Okay, that's what genocide is. And of course, like the note said, we have what happened in the Holocaust, but this also happens in Africa. Okay, what is the main cause of genocide in Africa? This is the main cause, again, from based on your notes. Okay, the main cause is simply because what, due to the colonization of Europeans of Africa and forcing people that were enemies to live together. Today, that's leading to the main causes of genocide in Africa. Okay. For the next part of your notes, political instability in Nigeria can be traced to how Europe, okay, divided up the countries in that region. Remember how they carved it up? This is in the past, forcing three enemy nations into one. Once the country became independent, so a lot of countries eventually pushed off the Europeans from having any influence on their government. So once the country became independent, each group fought for power. So within the government, they were like, okay, now that we have our own country, I'm going to run this country. And then you have another group saying, no, your views are completely wrong. We're going to run it this way. So you have these groups all fighting to have, overpower each other. Okay. So there was not a strong leadership, and the government kept changing, often putting military leaders in charge. So a lot of times they came over, and then you had one group that will take over, and they'll simply like go to war, topple down the government, and you have a new group. But then unfortunately that group, because of after the whole conflict, they're weakened, then you have another group who will take over. So it's a repeating cycle. The country is also divided religiously, with Muslims in the north and Christians in the south. Remember that Europeans exported Christianity to Africa by force. Today, extremist groups like Boko Haram take advantage of the weak government and have taken control of territory, kidnapped hundreds of, if not thousands of people, including children, and killed many more. This is a picture. This is an actual picture of the women who were captured based on Yarduna, who were because of the education. So they were captured and they were told that you're not supposed to have an education. Okay. All right. For your CFU, how did conflict in Africa originate, and then describe the relative locations of regions in Africa after the division of Africa. Press pause and then press play when you're done. Take about 3 to 4 minutes for these two questions. All right, so how did conflict originate in Africa? Again, this is basically due to European colonization from the past and forcing people that were enemies with each other led to the conflict. And unfortunately, when they received their independence, when they got their own country, they still had to go through the ordeal of trying to create a stable government. Okay. Describe the relative locations of regions in Africa after the division of Africa. So by that question, what I meant is simply, what do you notice about the two main regions in Africa? Remember how we know that there's 7 continents, and then we have regions within continents. The part below the Sahara Desert, remember what's the prefix for below? As sub. So that will be sub-Sahara. And in sub-Sahara Africa, what religion would you find there? And that will be Christianity. So then the part where it's the Sahara Desert, that's not called the Sahara Desert region. That's called North Africa. In North Africa, that region, you'll find Islam, okay, which is Muslims. Okay, so you can see there's a big distinction between those two regions. Okay, all right. And the last slide, and this is the last part of your notes. Even though Nigeria has rich natural resources, remember, this means like coal, lumber, things of that sort. The money made from them goes to bug companies and corrupt officials. So the regular people of Nigeria do not benefit, okay, from them. This is a common pattern all throughout the world. Okay, there's a little cartoon that I posted right there, so you can see how the African people who are supposed to be receiving money to help them pay off their debts, it goes straight to the leaders. So the leaders are supposed to give it to the people, but unfortunately, they're simply just collecting all of it, and they never give it to the people. Okay, the last C for your question. Despite having copious Copious, I want you guys, it's a vocab word that I want you guys to learn. That means a lot. Like, that means plenty. Despite having copious of resources, why do the common people of Nigeria suffer? Take about 1 minute to 2 minutes to answer this question. Press pause and then press play when you're done. All right, so the reason why they continue to suffer is because now, due to the corruption of their leaders, the people in Nigeria are suffering. Instead of dispersing resources, dispersing money to the people, the leaders of Nigeria and a lot of countries in Africa are confronting this problem of corruption. Okay. All right. With that said, that concludes our lesson. Go to the assignments tab in Teams, and I'll be posting your exit ticket there. Again, it's only two short response questions based on today's lesson. So with that said, I want you guys to enjoy your break. Stay safe, and if you have any questions or concerns, I'll be available during my office hours, and again, it's from 12:30 to 2 p.m. Okay. With that said, I'll see you guys next week. Okay.